So I think, flipping to the other side, and again, Texas has seen Jim Knowles a couple of times from his time in Stillwater. So, like, how have teams, if they have really, found success attacking that defense? And, specifically, if Texas was able to dial up the right game plan to do it, what would that look like? Or what have teams done this year?
Well, I think you got to protect the quarterback. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can't give up negative plays. Ohio State's not a big interception or turnover team. They don't intercept the passes very often, but they will create negative plays. And I think you've got to be really good up front with your run blocking. I think you've got to create and get to the second level, because the linebacker, Cody Simon, really came on this year and had perhaps his best year, no doubt his best year as an Ohio State player. Sonny Styles, the other linebacker, is a guy who moved from safety last year, and he's a tremendous athletic specimen. And at the beginning of the year, he was kind of a fish out of water playing linebacker, but he is now really kind of come on here down the stretch and played some good games as well. And of course, then you got the All-American safety Caleb Downs coming down and filling as well. If those two guys don't make the play, he's usually right there to make the play as well in the run game. And so there've been at times, some plays that have gotten out against Ohio State. And again, I just think it comes back to pass protection up front and having a good scheme run wise and executing it against this team. The four starters on the defensive line are all seniors. They've all started probably between 25 and 40 games. So they are all veteran players. And, Tyke Williams is one of the best defensive tackles around. And right now, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, who are both 5 stars coming out of high school, are playing up to that level in terms of impact on the game. They gave Cody Simon the defensive player of the game for the Rose Bowl, but it very easily could have been Jack Sawyer. He had 2 sacks and 3 pass breakups. And those pass breakups are huge. That makes 2nd and 10, now 3rd and 10, so, those are almost like a sack sometimes, those pass breakups, because instead of picking up 10 or 15 yards, if the pass goes through, you get 0. So, to me, he has been worth his weight in gold here the last 2 or 3 games. Had the big interception on the goal line against Michigan. They didn't get anything out of it, obviously. But, again, these are guys that have played a lot of football on the defensive side, and they are hungry. They still don't have a trophy or anything to really show for it in their entire 4-year period at Ohio State. They won a couple Rose Bowls, but that's the funny thing. We were talking with Mark before you came on. You have this great showing in the Rose Bowl, which ordinarily is the end of the season for an Ohio State or a Big Ten team, and it's they're halfway there in the playoff. There's it was a really funny scene in the corridor outside the locker room. Everybody took their time getting back there, and they're just excited and whatever. And about 5 minutes after everybody was back there, a couple of the assistant coaches noticed that some of the players were still on the field, and they ran out there like, "Hey, we got to go. We got to go. Come on, we got to go." Like, the players leaving in 5 minutes. I think it dawned on them that, we've got to go back to Columbus and start work on this, at 4 a.m. when we get back. So, the sooner we get back, the better. So, they celebrated the game for about 20 minutes and it was on to the next one. So, and I'm sure Texas was the same way. So, it just, we're in uncharted territory. Ohio State was in uncharted territory in the first 14 playoff when they and Oregon won the semifinal games. And then they were the only 2 teams left playing 10 days later on January the 10th for the championship. We're going on that 10-day cycle again to this game. And then the 2 winners of these games coming up will go one more 10-day cycle. And I think this will have ramifications on these teams for next year, no doubt, between guys getting banged up and guys slowly getting, back into the fold for 2025, after off-season surgeries and whatever. But, I guess for now, just enjoy the ride, because both these teams are on a great ride right now.
Absolutely.
Hey, Steve, just to extend on something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, two aspects of Jim Knowles' performance at Ohio State that I would say would be, number one, he's proven to be more adaptable than he was early on. He was very stubborn in what he wanted to do, and he seems to be adapting to the talent on the field and not just sticking with his scheme and changing some things from game to game, number one. Number two, if you look at his defensive performance at Oklahoma State, and we looked at this at the time that he was hired, the end results those last couple of years, of course, that last team went to the Big 12 championship game and came that close to a playoff bid and was one of the best defenses in the country. That it took them a while to get there. They actually regressed a little bit, Oklahoma State defensively in the rankings when he first got there, and it took them a while to take hold. I think that the defense was difficult for some people to take on, and maybe that's happened at Ohio State as well, that it's taken some time for the players to really adapt and really understand and be able to instinctually operate in his scheme.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head here. I mean, you go back to his first year, they play Michigan, and Michigan has all those big chunk plays for touchdowns, and that wasn't acceptable, obviously, in 2022. 2023, they were pretty much lights out all season long, and really bought into his scheme, and it was the offense that kind of was the thing holding this team up from being a great team. And then obviously, this year they play Oregon. They gave up 8 plays of 25 yards or longer, 6 pass plays and 2 run plays, including a 27-yard run by the quarterback Dylan Gabriel for a touchdown in the fourth quarter that kind of helped Oregon grab control of the game, and they won the game 32-31, obviously. And I think they had an open week after that, so they had 2 full weeks to kind of get under the hood and tinker. And the results since then have been just nothing short of fabulous. The opponents have averaged less than 300 yards. They were averaging 11 points until they gave up, 21 this past week. So that average in the last 8 games is probably up to 13 or 14 points now, but it's still, you give up 14 points in college football, you got to feel pretty good about winning the game, particularly with the offense on the other side. So I think it's been more of a common sense approach that we don't have to take chances. We can keep the ball in front of us and live to play another day, and then play great defense in the red zone and make people settle for field goals. That's kind of been the MO, I think, for this team. I mean, for the weeks after they played Oregon, Penn State, a team that's in the Final Four, scored 13 points against Ohio State and only 2 field goals on offense. The touchdown was a pick-6 interception by their defense. So their offense is in the Final Four and didn't score a touchdown in that game against Ohio State. So that'll give you maybe a little bit of a nutshell of what this defense is capable of.
To extend on a question that was left in the chat, and I'll add my spin to it because I've got a few different directions to go here. It was mentioned, Gerald, about the Texas passing game to the running back position, and I believe Weissner and Blue are 1-2 in the SEC in running back receptions. So they obviously love to go to those guys. This is maybe a different challenge for the Buckeyes in regards to covering backs out of the backfield. And Steve mentioned the outstanding play of Cody Simon in the Rose Bowl, but in recent weeks. So that could be a key matchup, how well the Buckeyes pick up those backs out of the backfield.
Yeah, Sark loves a wheel route. Like, who doesn't love a wheel route? They're so much fun, especially with the speed that Texas has with Jaden Blue at running back. And there are times where the Texas run game has struggled, and so they use those kind of quick passes, quick outs, kind of in the flats to the running backs to try to get something going and kind of supplement the run game. That's something that Sark is kind of just part and parcel of his offense. So they've really gone to that. Texas was blessed, I think is the right way to say it. Bijan Robinson, who's one of the better pass catching running backs we've seen in the last probably 5 or 10 years. And that's just become a part of what Sark likes to do, is get those running backs in space, take advantage of some of the athleticism they've got, and help supplement, kind of ease the box a little bit, so that outside zone that they like to run can flourish.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point. I think running backs catching the ball out of the backfield, I don't think there's been a lot of that against Ohio State this year. I'd have to look it up and see if anybody really exploited that. They were not giving up any passing touchdowns, I think, until Oregon had at least one, maybe two in that game, the Rose Bowl. So that's something that Ohio State's defense really had been clamped down on, was scoring passes. So yeah, we'll see if Texas can take advantage of some things like that here in the Cotton Bowl. I'm really looking forward to it.